Psychology question of the day, and this is a great one. Question: how do I keep improving each week? Do you have any tricks to help me become a better trader? What's the most effective way to keep getting better each week? Great question, and I really like the way that you finish that question each week. Week to week, week to week, week to week. You know, they say Sam Walton built Walmart with a weekly goal. Right? I really have seen great results week to week. It's amazing how much you can accomplish in 1 week. Okay, so the question, and like all psychology questions, this is going to be a multi-part answer. How do you keep improving each week? Well, first, you need to know what you're already doing well. Remember, it's a lot easier to become great at something you're already good at than to try becoming good at something you're horrible at. One of the things I've learned over the last 10 years of teaching traders is that you only need to be good at a few things to be successful. A jack of all trades does not make a good trader. I would much rather be really great at a few things than be average at a lot of different things. So the first thing you need to do is define what you're already good at and focus your energy on doing more of that. In other words, focus on your strengths first, not your weaknesses. And that's a little bit counterintuitive, right? Most of us want to improve our weaknesses first. So here's the next question that comes up. How do you know your strengths? Well, this is where your journal comes in handy. We've talked quite a bit about a journal in our psychology videos so far. So I would highly recommend a digital journal, right? Like a Word document, which is saved on a cloud drive like Google Drive or whatever they have on Macs these days, right? So you can get access anywhere you are. And if anything happens to your computer, right, you can always go back and get a backup copy on the cloud, right? You can buy fancy journal software. You know, there's lots of fancy journal software out there, but in my opinion, keep it simple. Use a Word document, save it on a cloud drive. That way, if God forbid you lose your hard drive or whatever in your office, right, you don't have to go back and start over from scratch. So starting today, I want you to start keeping a journal, and every time you do something that comes easily for you, anytime you feel like you do something really well, anytime you do something right according to your trading plan, I want you to highlight that section in your journal with a specific color. Let's say for strengths, right? It's a green color or a yellow color, whatever it is, right? This will make it easier for you to clearly see where you were successful when you go back and read your journal. So start keeping a daily journal and highlight all of your strengths in, let's say, green, for example. Okay, now that we have the ball rolling, let's move to your weaknesses. This is where a journal is really, really important because most people, and this is critical, most people will allow their successes to overshadow their weaknesses, which means they never truly see their weaknesses for what they really are. Your weaknesses are a means of improvement. It's slack, right, in your trading day that can be worked on. Here, think of it this way. How many times have you had a break-even day, meaning you took a few winners, you took a few losses, and you finished the day without making or losing anything, right? Brokers love that type of day, right? But not very good for us. Those types of break-even days are a great example of how your weaknesses are most likely going to be swept under the rug because of your strengths. So rather than just closing down the charts and finishing your day satisfied with a break-even day, these are the opportunities to address those weaknesses so that next time you don't break even. You actually make money, right, by removing those weaknesses. Now, this takes discipline, trust me. It takes a strong dedication to keep addressing your weaknesses even if you're not losing money. But that's the difference between good traders and great traders. Here's what I suggest. Starting today, using your journal and a specific highlighting color, keep detailed notes and make sure you highlight the times when you see there's room for improvement. So for example, anytime you make a mental mistake, right? You're chasing a trade, or you're moving your stop loss, or you're taking a trade without the right signal candle, whatever the case may be, even if you made money on that specific trade. Let me repeat that again. Even if you made money on that trade, okay? If you didn't follow your rules, it's considered a weakness, and it needs to be marked correctly in your journal no matter what the obstacle of that trade was or the outcome of that trade was. Okay, so no matter what the outcome of the trade, good or bad, were there weaknesses involved? Because that's one of the slippery slopes of trading, is you can do everything wrong and still make money. And that breeds bad habits, and those bad habits eventually end up toppling over the tower. Now, if you're anything like me, when you're first, right, when you're first getting started, your journal is going to be all weaknesses, right? And that's okay. We all have to start somewhere. Like I always tell my clients, if you want to be great at something, you have to be content with being horrible at it for a little while at the beginning. You know, nobody's born great at anything. It takes hard work and dedication when times get tough. Now, remember, one of the biggest reasons why you invest in your education and you work with a mentor, like me, for example, is because a mentor or a coach will transfer his or her strengths over to you to balance the scales, right? So you're nothing but weaknesses when you first begin. You hire a coach, right, to offset those weaknesses. Now we just got to work on those weaknesses. Okay, let's recap for a moment. We've covered a lot. At this point, we're keeping a journal each day. We're going to use a specific color to highlight our strengths and our weaknesses with the goal of doing more of the strengths and less of the weaknesses. I think this is pretty obvious, right? That sounds great, but how do we actually execute that? So let's dig in a little bit deeper here. Let's start with the charts first. The first step is keeping this journal, right, and keeping track of all the trading information from today. I recommend saving a copy of your chart with all of the support and resistance levels, all the executed trades, and all the non-executed trades marked on the chart. In other words, at the end of the day, I want to be able to see exactly why I entered each trade. I want to be able to see the trend line I used as support. I want to see the signal candle that gave me the reason. I want to see where I entered, where I exited, why I took it, right? Every trade you take and every trade you don't take tells a story. And you should be able to tell that story behind each trade to your accountability partner, which we discussed in a previous video, and we'll talk more about later on in today's video. Okay? Now, don't forget to make notes on the trades that you didn't take as well. You want a chart to show the trades you executed. And also, I like to recommend you also mark the trades that you liked, but you didn't take. You know, those trades that were kind of questionable, but they act right. If you can improve on this, they become actionable trades. So those non-executed trades are your room for improvement. For me, I save a copy of this chart. I keep it organized by date, by the day type, right? Trending day, range day, runaway day, rotate, right? Things like that. You'll learn more about that in our advanced classes, right? And I save all these charts in a big archive. And that archive, right, on my computer is backed up to a cloud drive so I can access it anywhere. And if I was ever to lose my computer here in the office for some reason, fire, theft, flood, corruption, whatever, I don't lose my journal and all my charts. So important, right? So important. Now, let's talk about the journal itself, because this is where it all comes to life. The goal of the journal is to tell the story of what you thought and felt about that chart that you were using today. So think of it this way. When you read your journal at the end of the day, it should sound like you are the Morgan Freeman, right? You're narrating the entire day's price action. So that when it's combined with the chart, it tells a clear story of what was going on in your mind at that specific moment in time. Okay, guys, you can't do too much in this journal. And over time, you'll find your own style of writing that's easy for you to do consistently and easy for you to read at the end of the day. Now, here's another trick. Here's a great trick as well. In combination with writing in your journal, start recording your screen while you're trading. Now, I use a screen recording software called Camtasia, right? I'll put a link on this in the text of this video on our blog. I use Camtasia to record my screen for my nightly newsletter and any of the tutorials I do for all of our students here at School of Trade, and that will work perfectly for this purpose as well. Now, you can find free screen recording software online, but remember, most of the free software programs are going to cost you something. Nothing's free on the interwebs these days, right? And if you use free software, you're usually going to spend, right, with your computer's performance or be bombarded by advertising, right? Whatever the case may be. So I do recommend invest in yourself, invest in your trading career, buy a good screen recording software. Camtasia is what I use. I highly recommend it. It's not that much, right? If you're trading, it's worth the investment. Now, we're keeping a journal, right? And the biggest mistake that most people make is they never take the time to go back and read the darn journal. I know, believe me, I know what you're going through. It's the end of the day. You just worked your butt off hard all day long. The last thing you want to do is stop what you're doing, finish your day, read your journal, and think about your strengths and your weaknesses. Trust me, I'm in the same boat. I work long hours each day with my clients, so I have a strategy for you. Before you finish each day, take 5 minutes and read your journal. Highlight your strengths, highlight your weaknesses, and then write a quick summary at the end of today's journal notes. Okay? This won't take you very long. 5 minutes, that's all it will take, right? It doesn't require any heavy thinking here, and it will reinforce what you learned today, and it will add it to your long-term memory bank. But more importantly, it'll make it easier for your weekly review. Weekly review? Let's talk about that. Speaking of the weekly review, at the end of the week, go back and read your journal in full detail. Now, if you're anything like me, you might not be in the best mental condition on Friday afternoon. Shocker! I found myself personally making excuses not to read my journal on Friday afternoon because my brain was fried from all the hard work I had put in that week. So I like to do it on a quiet Saturday morning or a Sunday morning with a tasty cup of matcha green tea and some lion's mane mushrooms, right? Get that brain into gear, right? But that's just me. You can do it anytime you feel like you're in a positive mental state. Right? Very, very important. Very, very important. I don't recommend doing your weekly review of your journal when you're tired or you're frustrated or you're anxious, right? I want you to be in a good mental state, a positive mental state, right? That way you get the best results. So I've made it a habit. Every Saturday or Sunday morning, depending on my schedule permits, I look forward to a few hours of reading my journal, right, to make improvements for the following week. Find a way to work this into your weekend. If you're superhuman, maybe you can do it on a Friday afternoon, right? But I like doing it on Saturday morning, Sunday morning when I'm fresh, when I'm awake, and I've got a good mental state. Now, okay, let's recap real quick. This has been a real detailed video so far. First, talk about journaling, right? Journal recap. With your journal, take detailed notes each day, Monday through Friday, right, at the end of trading. Then, before you finish your day, right, make your highlights, highlight your strengths, highlight your weaknesses, right, and write a summary at the end of that journal entry. Then, at the end of each week, do a forensic read-through at the end of each week. I suggest on Saturday or Sunday morning, right, whenever you're in the best mental state. Now, again, I know this has been a long-winded answer, but keep rolling with me. Now I want to talk about what I call the index card trick. Yeah, one of these bad boys, right? One of these bad boys, an index card. Okay, now I want to take a 3x5 index card. Yes, something small that you can fit in your pocket. I don't recommend doing this on an iPhone. I don't recommend doing this on your computer. Okay, use real paper, use a real pen, just like this. Now, after reading your journal, you're going to know your strengths and you're going to know your weaknesses. On the front, of the index card, you're going to write 3 to 5 strengths that you're going to focus on more next week. On the back of the index card, you're going to write down 3 to 5 weaknesses that you're going to address next week. Now, why do I use an index card for this? Well, because in my experience, there's a point where you're using a checklist that is too many things, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? You get a big legal pad of paper, right? You get like 50 things you want to do. Yeah, well, what happens is when you have a big checklist of things to work on, for some reason that signals that little voice in your head, and that little voice in your head says, wait a second, boys, this is too much. I'll never get all this done. I quit. You know what I'm talking about, right? How many times, right, have you made a list of all the things you need to do this week, right? But the list is so long, you wind up procrastinating and nothing gets done at all. Or even worse, right? This is even worse. You got a big long list of things to do next week, right? Or this weekend, whatever it is, and you cherry pick the easy stuff and none of the real work gets done. right? That's classic me, right? I'll have 20 things I want to work on this week, right? And then I'll get 2 or 3 of them just because they're the easy ones, and I could have done by, easy as falling off a horse. We all do it. So I want you to really drill down and define what are my 3 to 5 biggest strengths, 3 to 5 biggest weaknesses, because that's all that fits on this index card. Now, bring that index card with you everywhere you go, and if you need help remembering to use it, another trick for you. Put a rubber band around your wrist, just like this, because every time you look at your wrist, it'll remind you to take this index card out of your pocket and give it a read. Now, what that will do is that will keep you remembering these are the 3 most important things I'm working on right now. These are the 3 most important things in my life right now that I'm going to get better at this week. I've used this index card trick for years, and you'll be amazed at how much improvement you can accomplish by focusing on just a few select things each week. And it makes you really drill down into what the most important things are going to be. Wow, we have covered a ton in this great video. Let's bring it all together here now. The best way to improve your trading is to become great at something you're already doing well. At the same time, we want to methodically improve our weaknesses. The most effective way to do this is with a daily journal. Your job is to document your charts, write in your journal, and even record your darn screen while you're trading to truly capture the environment at that time. Remember, guys, there's nothing more important for a new trader than real-time price action, okay, before you know what's going to happen. Now, at the end of each day, read your journal, highlight your strengths and your weaknesses with different colors, and write a short summary of what happened, where you did well, and where you need to improve. At the end of your week, read your journal. Use the index card trick to drill down to find the 3 to 5 most important things you're going to focus on next week. Tell a friend who will act as an accountability partner, because the fear of letting them down will be an effective way to stick to your plan. And each week, go back through your journal, create another index card. Every week, new index card. Every week, new journal. Every week, new index card. And man, oh man, right? This trick works for pretty much everything. Health, wealth, relationships. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to improve on, drill down, find those 3 to 5, right? And work on them for the following week. You'll be amazed how much you can get done week to week. Boy, I hope you learned a lot in today's psychology lesson, and I hope you'll help me out by sharing this video with other traders who can also benefit from this strategy. And I also need your help. I'm always looking for new ideas for these videos. So post a comment below the YouTube video and tell me what weaknesses you're working on. Or do you have any other tricks like the index card tricks work for you, right? Share them with other people, because I'd love to help everyone else, right, improve on their trading as well. Right? And also, any other topics you want me to cover, any other psychology topics, post that comment below the video on my YouTube channel. And don't forget to come join me Monday through Friday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time in my trade room with all of our members here at School of Trade. Check out my nightly newsletter every evening before 8 p.m. Eastern Time on my blog at Sideways Markets. And once again, my name is Joseph. I want to thank you guys for watching. Thanks for sharing. Be well out there. Be nice to each other. Be here next time. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.